News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
It's now 5:05 in the KVNU studios on this hot Monday afternoon. I'm Will Feelright with your local headlines. The firefighters successfully were able to contain a large vehicle fire this morning and protect a threatened building at a salvage yard along Valley View Highway. Now, the Logan City Fire Department was dispatched the report of a working structure fire at DD Auto and Salvage at around 8:30. The first crews arrived on site in just over 3 minutes and reported a large pile of burning cars that had posed an immediate threat to a nearby building. Now, the fire produced a thick column of black smoke seen throughout the valley. Now, crews deployed to protect the exposed building and successfully prevented the flames from spreading further. Now, employees at the salvage yard reported the fire started as they were removing a gas tank that sparked. No injuries were reported. Meanwhile, a fire heavily damaged a Costa Vida restaurant near the Layton Hills Mall over the 4th of July holiday weekend, and that caused an estimated $1.2 million in damages. Now, Layton Fire Chief Scott Mon said the crews initially responded to the structure fire just before midnight on Saturday night. Now, firefighters extinguished the flames that were burning through the roof, but the fire rekindled Sunday morning, requiring a second response. Now, the building's construction had made the fire difficult to address, with the roof partially collapsing into the restaurant. Now, the business was closed at the time and no injuries were reported. The cause of that fire is believed to be fireworks, and owners have not yet decided whether they'll repair or demolish the heavily damaged structure. And finally, members of Utah's Venezuelan community gathered yesterday at Murray Park to mourn loved ones and coordinate relief efforts following those two catastrophic earthquakes that had struck Venezuela back on June 24th. Now, the 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude quakes killed thousands of people. Now, organized by local residents here in Utah, the vigil yesterday allowed participants to share stories of loss and also survival, including one South Jordan resident whose brother still remains missing after his apartment building collapsed. Now, other attendees reported that while their families survived, relatives on the ground are now turning local infrastructure into, like churches, into emergency shelters to distribute food and clothing. Now, organizers and attendees emphasize that the humanitarian crisis is just beginning. Now, the group is shifting its focus toward long-term relief efforts, pledging to collect and ship vital resources, including food and medicine, to try to aid in the extensive rebuilding process. Well, it's been another hot afternoon as we've been in the low 90s, and it looks like we'll be back into the low 90s tomorrow with even warmer weather coming through the rest of the week. As we'll continue to see some clouds this afternoon, temperatures tonight going to drop into the high 50s. Then tomorrow will be back up around 93, mid-90s by Wednesday, high 90s for the end of this week, and possibly triple digits coming for the weekend. Yeah, some hot weather is headed our way. Well, it's the Lawn Doctor. If you think you're struggling with these hot temperatures, just imagine your lawn. That's why the Lawn Doctor can help. Call them today at 753-LAWN or go to lawndoctor.com. And with your KVNU local headlines, I'm Will Feelright, KVNU News Time. Now, 5:08.
Weeds don't take the summer off, and now, neither does Logan Extermination. Their new specialty lawn spray isn't temperature sensitive, so it keeps fighting weeds even during the hottest days of summer. For just $55, they'll treat up to 1,000 square feet, targeting tough weeds like dandelions, thistle, and the king of all weed kings, morning glory. Call Logan Extermination today at 435-752-8450. That's 752-8450. Online at loganextermination.net, a division of Anderson Seed and Garden.
News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Look, let's clear something up. IV therapy, hormones, peptides, ozone, this isn't about luxury wellness. It's about function. This is Dr. Josh Red with Red River Health and Wellness, and we're expanding our services to include these advanced therapies that support how your body actually works. Low energy, inflammation, hormones, recovery, immune health. These treatments are used intentionally with medical oversight and integrated into our existing approach to whole body care. If you're tired of quick fixes and vague answers, this is something different. This is about supporting your health at a deeper level so you can feel better, think clearer, and live stronger. Red River Health and Wellness. because your health deserves more than guesswork. Learn more or schedule a consultation at redriverhealthandwellness.com.
Call Red River Health and Wellness at 855-55-RIVER.
Call Red River today.
At Adams Wealth Advisors, they believe that successful wealth management is all about planning. And whether you've done a lot of planning or a little, Adams Wealth Advisors is here to help. If you're transitioning a business, searching for the most up-to-date tax strategies, need help managing investments, or need help with estate planning, Adams Wealth Advisors has your back. Visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com for more information or to schedule an appointment.
For the people. Hour 2 of today's show. Again, kind of a good reminder, even as we come out of the big fireworks weekend, that things are still dry out there and we should be careful. A fire started early this morning, and here in Logan, workers at D&D Auto and Salvage were removing a gas tank. And it sparked. It's hot enough, it's dry enough out there, and those gas fumes only need just a little bit of a spark to go. But big column of black smoke up in the sky, and fire crews were there within 3 minutes. Fire officials are trying to get everyone to think a bit differently about this than we usually do. That every fire is an extraction of limited resources. From our discussion at the start of the show, our guest today, Jonathan from the Utah Fire Information Group, was going to join us actually right now. They've been called away to help plan some public meetings in San Juan County ahead of anticipated evacuations due to the Babylon fire, currently the largest fire burning in the United States. Right there in southeastern Utah, burning towards communities in San Juan County. So no evacuation orders have been issued yet, but they're anticipating them, Jonathan said. So they actually are on the road to San Juan County to help organize those public meetings, similar to the ones they were organizing for the Cottonwood fire last week. Jonathan told us firefighters are already exhausted. So if we're taking resources away from city and county fire, who help to back up these wildfire fighting crews, and the city and county firefighters are already exhausted because they've been putting out 1 million fireworks fires, or like in Layton, apparently. Well, like I say, officials haven't confirmed that it was fireworks behind the total loss of that Layton Costa Vida Saturday night and into Sunday morning. Something hot got on the roof. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. That's a lot of time and energy that's spent. The firefighters fighting the Slate Canyon fire in Provo, which confirmed was fireworks, an aerial firework shot off right on the hillside. What kind of bonehead? Anyway, I hope they catch that person, because that's extremely stupid. But this is firefighters who didn't sleep that night. They were called to that fire, and they spent the night up on the hillside putting out hot spots and checking as the sun came up for smoke, which is can be a potential restart of the whole fire. All because someone wanted to light a pew-pew. Come on, folks. So we did pretty good here in Cache Valley. We already spent a lot of time on that in hour 1. I won't spend more time on it. But again, thanks to Jonathan for at least being willing to join us today. Unfortunately, again, they're on their way to San Juan County to plan these public meetings. He's agreed that when time permits later this week, he'll join us. And we're going to talk about wildfire preparedness, what you can do in your home, much like earthquake preparedness and flood preparedness. There is a kind of a 3-step process for being ready for potential evacuations, which can and have happened here in Cache County. So we'll talk to Jonathan about those on another day. In lieu of that, we're going to talk about AI. Again, plan to have Jonathan here for this segment. This story, though, I was hoping to find time for this somewhere today. And listeners out there, I would love to hear from you on this because I can't decide which side of this I fall on myself. 753-5868. Here's a quick backstory on this. Earlier this year, this came up a little bit during the legislative session. If you remember, there were AI regulation bills that got a lot of support from Utah lawmakers and Governor Cox, and then got surprising backlash from the White House, including Trump's appointed CTFC director, who threatened to sue Utah if they passed these bills. These were bills that just took some steps towards regulating AI. Doug Fiafia, who was just elected from the Utah House to the Utah State Senate, beating an incumbent, ran a bill that would have put AI developers on the line for having a plan to protect children. That bill was paused. Fiafia was angry about it. It helped him get bumped up from Utah House to Utah Senate. The implication there is that these bills were popular with Utahns. So this debate came up, and then it kind of went away. And in the middle of this was just a brief mention of this pilot program. It's called Doctronic. And again, I first learned about this when it was being discussed by lawmakers during committee hearings. But the program is pretty simple. It allows Utah residents, and I can't think of anybody that would be against this part. The program allows Utah residents to skip the doctor's office appointment and get prescriptions refilled online through the Doctronic program, but you're never talking to a person. It's a very intelligent, admittedly, AI chatbot. It's a pilot program running here in Utah, and this is not available to everyone, just to make that clear. But it's ignited this huge debate. CashValleyDaily.com, courtesy of the Associated Press, has the full story right there on the front page. I've linked to it on our Facebook page as well. And the question is, and it's the headline of the story, is AI ready to take over your prescriptions? Big debate about this. Not new, right? Doctors, though, are speaking out. And let me back up a little bit. Let me put my nerd hat on for a second, the geek in me. This is pretty milestone-ish. And if this can be made to work, I don't know anyone that would hate it. I don't know any patient that would hate it. I'm speaking only through anecdotes. I have been, health-wise, knock on wood, lucky in my life. I don't take a lot of long-term prescriptions. My prescription experience has been, a week of this, a week of that to get over a sinus infection or whatever it might be. A lot of tetanus shots. So I've been lucky that way. But I have relatives, family members who have not had the health luck I've had. And so I'm familiar with the process. And I know something that's very frustrating for many people is how much time they have to spend getting prescriptions renewed. Prescriptions that everyone agrees you're going to be taking, in some cases, for the rest of your life. I know a person on blood thinners. This person is going to be taking these blood thinners for the rest of their life. But they still, every few months, have to go in, set up a doctor's appointment, see the doctor, nod with the doctor, and then go get the prescription renewed. So this AI chatbot pilot program, Doctronic, is now, not doing away with that process, but replacing it. So at the center of this, again, is also a debate about state and also federal laws. There are federal laws meant to stop the abuse of controlled substances, that prescriptions can only be renewed by licensed medical professionals. And these proponents of programs like Doctronic, these AI-driven, medical assistants, if you will, they say these laws are outdated, more than 100 years old, some of them, and should be updated to include new technologies like AI chatbots. And the geek in me is very sympathetic to that argument. that, we do have to kind of stop and reassess sometimes to take advantage of new technology, right? Dr. Eric Bressman, quoted in the story, again at cachevalleydaily.com. He is a researcher at the University of Pennsylvania. He said, we've crossed a threshold. And you paraphrasing him, he's basically saying you can't deny that this technology is here and could be extremely useful. But at the same time, you also, as proponents are prone to do, you can't pretend we're not talking about turning over medical procedures to a not human, as Bressman calls them, AI chatbots. So Bressman's clear in his where he's quoted, at least in this story, about this Utah program. He's very clear that he isn't outright opposed to AI in medicine, or specifically in this case, in AI prescribing or renewing prescriptions. But he said it should be, this Doctronic program is a pilot program here in Utah again. He said it should be held to rigorous standards, at least similar to what human doctors would be held to. And human doctors undergo years of testing and training before being licensed to practice medicine. And there is additional education required to become, to be solely a pharmacist. And he said this Doctronic program was able to launch thanks to Utah's, quote, regulatory sandbox that allowed it. Again, this is a very small pilot program here in Utah. The regulatory sandbox basically says, okay, we'll waive some rules. Well, you go try this out. So Utah is allowing this AI company to test their product on us in a very limited capacity, but still. So there's some hesitation and wariness from the public, understandably. But again, what was interesting to me and detailed here in the story, again at cachevalleydaily.com, doctors are speaking out. So the refill program, this AI prescription refill program, Doctronic, is right now being overseen by a 5-member board of, quote, specialists, none of whom are doctors. And they say they have assured everyone they've implemented numerous safeguards. For example, they provide some examples. They did bring in human doctors to review the first phase of Doctronic refill orders. So after, I don't know if this was a month or what, this only started in January. So at a certain point, they said, okay, we'll bring in some human doctors to review every prescription our AI chatbot refilled, and why and for who. And the human doctors, I assume, said everything looks fine. Utah's state medical licensing board chief says he and his colleagues learned of the program when it launched in January and was reported in the news. That's kind of concerning. They maybe should have been in the loop. But again, it's a pilot program. The 11 board members called for the program to be immediately halted when they learned about it in January, said the risks of automatically renewing medicines through an AI chatbot that, if you've used an AI chatbot, they make mistakes, right? They said the side effects or potential harmful, even fatal drug interactions when you extract the doctor from the process. Yes, basically what the medical board is saying is, yes, it's inconvenient to have to go back to your doctor every 3 months and renew a prescription that you're going to be taking for the rest of your life. But at least you get to have the doctor look over your charts and make sure something new hasn't prescribed by a different doctor or a specialist or whatever it might be that is interacting poorly with something else that you're on. I also know someone that this has happened to. A person who was on a type of medication, then saw a specialist, got another prescription. The primary care doctor caught it immediately and said, you cannot take those two together. That will kill you. A specialist said, my bad. They fixed it before the person ever headed to the pharmacy to pick up what they were prescribed. But that required a human interaction between two doctors. Is AI there? Now, that's a different question in my mind from could AI be there one day? I think the answer to that is absolutely. I think AI could absolutely be there one day. I do not think AI is there now. Still, it's a pilot program, and I'm not sure that I'm on the same page with the state's medical licensing board that called for the program to come to a complete halt because of the health risks. What I want to know is how actual patients feel about this? Would you use an AI chatbot prescription renewal service? Would you, and I should point this out as well. The company that built this AI chatbot and is trial ballooning it here in Utah through our regulatory sandbox in a small scale pilot program, it was co-founded by a doctor, Dr. Adam Oskowitz. And he said here that their only goal here, well, I mean, obviously their goal is to develop a product to make money. But Doctronics executives wouldn't say whether they have sought permission for any of this through the FDA already. That's a hoop they'd have to jump through as well to go outside of Utah's pilot program regulatory sandbox. But the co-founder of the company, Dr. Adam Oskowitz, said the goal here really is just to meet patients where they need health care. And we try not to get deep into the weeds on the regulatory side. Concerning comment, but I also see where he's coming from. By the way, if you want to be a part of this, if you want to be one of the guinea pigs, you can actually visit the Doctronic website built for the refill program. The process, basically, you confirm your identity. The chatbot asks users about their prescriptions and medical history. You type all that in yourself. They verify that you actually have a valid prescription. This is a national pharmacy database that it can tap into, this Doctronic program. And if there are no issues, the AI can renew the prescription, send it out to local pharmacy, I assume of your choice. And if the request requires any more attention, the chatbot does transfer the patient to a doctor who works directly with Doctronic's telehealth service. I mean, honestly, I can see the potential here, and I can see the benefit for people who spend a lot of time renewing prescriptions every year. But are we ready? I mean, is this ready? I think is a relevant question. And then the question I have for our listeners, would you use this? Do you trust where we're at with AI enough to hand your prescriptions and potential prescription conflicts, which can be serious, over to software, to an artificial intelligence, which again is just what we're calling it. It's not actually intelligent. Very smart, but not fully intelligent. Are you ready for that? Would you hand this over? By the way, an FDA spokesperson did weigh in on this in the story again at CashValleyDaily.com about this Utah pilot program and said that though, this whole pilot program here in Utah has not been authorized by the FDA and the whole concept of an AI chatbot prescription renewal process has not been authorized by the federal agency. Spokesperson did say the FDA is committed to encouraging medical innovation and helping to bring promising new technologies to patients. But there is a responsibility to keep safety at the center of every decision. So the goal here for Doctronic, according to the co-founder quoted, is to expand across all 50 states with various regulatory approaches. But that is going to require a successful run of this pilot program here in Utah. And again, my question for our listeners, would you use this? 753-5868. AI pharmacists, basically. Well, AI prescription renewal service, we'll put it that way, because you still have to go to the pharmacist and pick it up. Would you use it? 753-5868. A couple of texts we've gotten here right after this.
Got metal? Turn it into cash fast. At Valley Recycling, we pay cash on the spot for aluminum, copper, steel, any metal you've got. Old appliances, scrap from a job site, cans you've collected. If it's metal, we're buying. No hassle, no waiting. Just pull up, drop off, and get cash. So clean up the garage, yard, barn, or shed and bring us your scrap metal. We're Valley Recycling at 145 North 10th West in Logan and valleyrecycling.com.
Northern Utah has spoken, and the results are in. The best of Northern Utah 2026 winners have been announced. See which businesses earn top honors. Pick up your free Winners magazine at locations throughout Cache Valley or check out the complete results online at bestofnorthernutah.com. Thank you for supporting our local businesses that make our community great. Best of Northern Utah 2026 is proudly presented by Alpine Cleaning and Restoration.
Best of Northern Utah. I will be right by your side.
Women can have it all, including heart attacks. But symptoms like jaw pain, nausea, unusual fatigue, dizziness, and backache are often different and more subtle than for a man. The fact is, heart disease is the #1 killer of women. Know the signs. Learn more at getheartchecked.org. From Women's Heart Alliance, in partnership with Women Heart.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Tuesday on This Morning, America's First News. Routine daily votes are failing in Congress as House Republicans who are retiring, defeated, or angry are not showing up or are doing so with a renewed sense of independence. Also, the key factor undermining artificial intelligence at work and what's behind a recent spike in so-called blind side divorces. Tuesday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Asking our listeners, would you use it? Story at CacheValleyDaily.com about Doctronic. This is an AI prescription renewal service. This is a pilot program running here in Utah as a part of what Utah lawmakers call the regulatory sandbox. This is basically when they tell a company, you can test your product or whatever it is you're making out here in Utah, and we'll kind of waive the regulations through the length of the test. Another way to say that, I guess, is Utah lawmakers saying, sure, Utahns want to be your guinea pig, but that's the cynical way to put it. I think it's cool we do this. This is, by the way, the first company to actually take advantage of the regulatory sandbox, other than when it first launched 7 years ago, a title company took advantage of it. But it turns out all they invented was a title company website, which wasn't new, and they're actually trying to kind of cheat. And so they got booted from the program. But this Doctronic group is officially in the program. It has been running since January here in Utah. And I'm asking listeners, would you use it? Would you use an AI chatbot to have your prescriptions renewed? Completely extracting your doctor from the process after that initial prescription from your doctor, which Doctronic doesn't do yet. 753-5868. A few texts from listeners here. Remember, you can text me using the Google Chat app. It's free, and we are KVNU FTP there on Google Chat. This is Melissa. Melissa said, I actually tried to use this when I read a news story about it when it launched in January. It could never verify my identification or that my doctor existed. And so I scrapped it and just do my prescriptions the traditional way. If they actually get it working, I would use it. That's Melissa from here in Cache Valley. John said, would not use. I feel much better having my doctor review my prescriptions. And then in parentheses, John says, but I am on a lot of prescriptions. Maybe someone with fewer would be more inclined. Good point, Jonathan. And finally, Helen, I believe, is the name you meant to type. Helen saying that this could be game-changing, but would not want to be a part of the guinea pig crowd. So 3 different reactions there from Cache Valley residents on Doctronic, an AI chatbot-based prescription renewal service. I kind of see where all 3 are coming from here, and my mind's split in those 3 ways too. I'm lucky enough to not have to deal with this yet in life, knock on wood, but I know that those who I know, family members, friends I have who do, it's a pain. And if you could bypass having to go set up that doctor's appointment every time a prescription is about to expire, I don't think anybody would say no to that. But are people, is AI there? Are people comfortable enough with artificial intelligence to turn, any aspect of their medical, of their health and experience with the medical system over to software, it'll be interesting to see. And this company is testing exactly that here in Utah. So hoping to expand this nationwide, of course, and make money, of course. The co-founder says they just, they saw an opportunity to use AI in a creative way that they think would be a better experience for patients. And then, of course, patients would be willing to pay for. So right now, the service in the pilot program, you can sign up for at no cost. And if you're interested, the name again, Doctronic. But it'll be interesting to see where this goes. One quick note, the regulatory sandbox, as Utah lawmakers call it, where they waive the regulations to let these companies test things out on us here in Utah, it does have a window, a start time and an end time. And at the end of that, in order to keep operating, there is a review process. I assume in this case, doctors would be brought in to look over how the AI performed and what prescriptions were renewed and for Hugh overall. But the details are kept pretty, for proprietary reasons, details of the whole regulatory sandbox pretty outside of the public eye until the test is over. So we'll see where this goes. More information in the story, again, at cachevalleydaily.com if you want to read or share the story. Interesting debate. And again, doctors and pharmacists weighing in on this left and right here online. I'm looking at some of the comments. Feel free to join in. We'll be back with more of KVNU's For the People. Some July 4th trivia I learned yesterday from a Utah State Senator that I either never learned or learned and forgot, which at my age is always a possibility. But it's a fascinating argument, an argument in which a founding father went to his death saying we're celebrating July 4th wrong and on the wrong day. Or sorry, Independence Day wrong and on the wrong day. We'll talk about it after these headlines with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. Kansas City Chiefs coach Andy Reid swapped the football field for the choir loft yesterday, urging Americans to use teamwork and respect to build a more perfect union as the United States continues to celebrate its 250th anniversary. Now, Reid served as the guest narrator for yesterday's music and the spoken word broadcast featuring the Tabernacle Choir and Orchestra at Temple Square.
For 2.5 centuries, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution have guided this nation. They set our ideals and gave us a game plan to keep moving toward what the Constitution calls a more perfect union.
Now, the special Independence Day weekend performance aired locally here on KVNU and nationally on C-SPAN, News Nation, and various network affiliates. Now, the three-time Super Bowl champion compared the nation's founding documents to a strategic playbook. Now, he also shared Benjamin Franklin's historic observation that America's sun is rising rather than setting, expressing confidence in future generations.
Whether on the football field, in our communities, or in our homes, progress at times can feel like an uphill climb. But I've learned that when people come together for a common goal, when they respect and support one another, progress happens. That's what a team does. It works to get better every single day.
Now, Church President Dallin H. Oaks and other high-ranking leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints were in attendance for yesterday's event. In other news, 5 juveniles from Ogden were injured, including an 11-year-old girl flown to a hospital with a broken pelvis after a suspected DUI driver drove into them during a 4th of July celebration late Saturday night. Now, the incident occurred just before 10:30 near 4400 South Airport Road, where a large crowd had gathered to watch fireworks. Now, according to Ogden police, the driver of a gray GMC truck struck a parked Dodge Charger while trying to exit a parking lot, pinning multiple juveniles standing nearby. Now, the driver then backed up to flee, but witnesses surrounded the vehicle, pounded on the windows, and broke the glass to force the truck to stop until officers could arrive. Now, the suspect was arrested on suspicion of felony DUI involving injury with prior offenses. Now, the victims suffered injuries ranging from abrasions to broken bones. An investigation is continuing. And finally, some good news at the pump. Oil prices have begun to fall to pre-Iranian conflict levels after OPEC agreed to increase production and the Strait of Hormuz reopened. Now, OPEC announced that it will raise output targets by 188,000 barrels per day starting next month. Now, the move follows the reopening of the strait, which Iran had closed during its conflict with the United States. Now, former White House economic advisor Steve Moore had predicted that drivers would soon see relief at the pump. Now, Gas Buddy shows that the average price right now for a gallon of gas in Cache Valley is around $3.65. Well, we're going to continue to see warm temperatures with some clouds tonight. Temperatures dropping into the mid to high 50s. Tomorrow we'll be back into the low 90s on Tuesday. Mid 90s coming on Wednesday. High 90s by the end of the week. And it looks like we could see possibly 100 coming for the weekend. And it's the Allies Law Firm that brings you our weather here at the bottom of the hour. When it comes to all your legal needs, the Allies Law Firm will plan, fight, so that you can win. It's the Allies Law Firm. And I'm Will Feelwright for KVNU News.
ABC News, I'm Stephanie Officer. A heat wave just won't quit in the South. ABC's Samara Theodore.
Things are really hot in the Southeast. Some areas not quite as bad as we saw over the holiday weekend, but still pretty bad. 100 degrees is what it feels like in Tuscaloosa. But I'll leave you with some good news for those in the Northeast. Things are really cooling down. UNDC on Wednesday will be around 83 degrees.
Authorities in Mississippi have located a body they believe likely belongs to a teen missing since July 4th. 18-year-old Nolan Wells was last seen on Horn Island Saturday. The barrier island is a popular vacation spot. A local sheriff's office saying Wells was there with friends for the holiday when he was reported missing. ABC's Alex Perez.
The Jackson County Sheriff's Department, the Cajun Navy, and many volunteers spending much of the weekend searching for Wells. It remains unclear what exactly happened to him. Authorities say they are still working to figure out what exactly went wrong here as his community now grieves.
This is ABC News.
Did you know you can cut your Rocky Mountain power bill by 40 to 50% without a single solar panel? With the new time of use rates, power is 4.5 times more expensive in the evening, but cheap during the day. At Greenbox Solar, we install smart home batteries that charge up when electricity is cheap, then power your home during peak hours. Solar is totally optional and can be added in the future, but savings are guaranteed. Drop by Greenbox Solar's showroom in South Logan to see the hardware for yourself. Visit our website at poweredbygreenbox.com.
The silent villain of your day, burning during your 9 a.m. meeting, red and irritated through your kid's soccer game, watering during your favorite movie? Relief is closer than you think. I'm Dr. Rebecca Freeman at Northern Utah Eye Center. We've got the weapons to fight back. IPL, Lipiflow, punctal plugs, prescription drops, and more. Come see me at Northern Utah Eye Center. We'll take your dry eyes down together. Visit northernutaheyecenter.com or call 752-2020.
You're gonna love what you see.
Photographers, take your skills to the next level with Bank of Utah's My Utah Photo Contest. Submit up to 3 original color photos of what Utah is to you. First place wins $500 and their photo featured on a billboard and Bank of Utah's annual calendar. Cash awards and calendar features will also go to second and third place and most votes. Show us what Utah is to you. Go to bankofutah.com/MyUtahContest to enter. That's bankofutah.com/MyUtahContest. Bank of Utah, member FDIC.
In today's day and age, getting the right information in a timely manner is essential, especially when it's about what's going on in your own neighborhoods, in Logan and Hiram, in North Logan and Smithfield, in Providence and Millville, in Tremonton and Preston. Knowing the truth from trusted sources should be available to everyone in our community. Cache Valley Daily is committed to being your link to local news and sports. Know what's going on in your community. Visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. I learned some Independence Day trivia from a Utah State lawmaker yesterday. Senator Todd Weiler, Republican state senator from the Woods Cross area, posted this on one of his social media channels. And if I ever learned this, I don't know, I'm at the age now where I can't say I didn't learn this in grade school and then, I've just forgotten it over the years, but I don't remember ever knowing this. So this stood out to me. Hopefully this is news to you, or if you know more about this than I do, feel free to call and join in, 753-5868. I didn't know. Now, I knew that there was, a day that we actually celebrate the official, like when it was officially published and signed, Declaration of Independence. But I didn't know that there was a formal adoption date that preceded that. There was a formal adoption date on the 4th. I didn't realize that there was a formal, when it was written and signed date that preceded that. I knew that happened. I didn't know that John Adams spent the entire rest of his life refusing to celebrate July 4th, Independence Day, and instead celebrated it on July 2nd. So this wasn't out of any kind of pettiness or animosity. He just strongly believed that American independence should be celebrated on July 2nd, the day the Continental Congress actually voted to declare independence. The Adams obviously was ignored, his insistence on July 2nd, and the formal adoption of the written Declaration of Independence that occurred on July 4th, basically the public ceremony, became the observation date. And I did know this, completely coincidence, of course, historical coincidence, but Adams and, interestingly enough, Thomas Jefferson passed away on July 4th. But I didn't know that Adams, I knew that he had written about this, that he felt the actual day of independence was when the Continental Congress voted. But I didn't know that he spent the rest of his life turning down invitations to July 4th celebrations. I honestly did not know that. A quote from Adams that Senator Weiler shared, one you might be familiar with. Adams, famous for saying that Independence Day should be solemnized with pomp and parade, games, sports, bells, and bonfires. Let's extract that one, though, considering how dry it is out there. And illuminations from one end of the continent to the other from this time forward. But he said that on July 3rd. That was the letter he wrote, July 3rd, 1776. And so one day after the Continental Congress actually voted and approved the official declaration, the literal legal Declaration of Independence, the signing then took place July 2nd. Adams wrote his letter July 3rd, and then the public ceremony on the 4th that became the holiday, again, Adams objected to. Now, it sounds like, historians have said he was very amicable about this. He understood that at a certain point, the July 4th was kind of locked in as the celebration date, and that he wasn't winning this argument. But either to his credit or to credit of his stubbornness, whichever way you want to look at it, he famously, I guess, celebrated, he and his family, on July 2nd, and they did not celebrate on July 4th. Can you imagine today the pure social media? You could probably power the nation with the social media outrage of any famous politician today refusing to celebrate on the 4th. But John Adams famously thought July 2nd was the actual day of independence, and he celebrated that day as Independence Day with his family until the day he died. Along with this, Senator Weiler shared something that I've previously posted to our Facebook page. If you would like to take a look at this yourself, but it's 250 places to visit on the 250th anniversary of our nation's founding, being celebrated throughout the year. And now some of these will take you a bit to get there if you want, but the Smithsonian Magazine editorial staff started working on this 2 years ago, and more than 500 sites were initially considered. And you can actually see that full list if you want, the full 500 site list. They've included that as well. But, with it being 250, they narrowed it down to 250. There are a bunch of different categories. There are witness to history categories that include everything from NASA's Mission Control Center to the Independence Hall in Philadelphia, things like that. The famous Greensboro lunch counter, where the civil rights movement basically got its real big start. And there are even food categories, like Pequod's Pizza in Chicago. This is a historical pizza site, apparently, and they serve a historical deep dish that has been sold by restaurants in Chicago for throughout its existence, basically. And there's also the birth of the buffalo wing, which is in Stillwater, Oklahoma, that you can see. They also have a museums and historic homes list that you can get to. Harriet Tubman's, Ronald Reagan's, Laura Ingalls Wilder's, the cabin she grew up in. That's in the culture and community category, but Senator Weiler shared this along with this bit of July 4th trivia. Again, I knew that Adams had written that July 2nd was actually Independence Day because that's when the Continental Congress voted, made it official. I didn't know that he spent the entirety of the rest of his life refusing to celebrate July 4th as Independence Day and instead celebrating it on July 2nd with his family. And this is actually part of an exhibit. If you find yourself out, and visiting Independence Hall or the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia, they actually have at Pennsylvania State University, they actually have some of Adams' writings and also some people that reacted to him refusing to celebrate on July 4th, including just about 10 years after the actual, Continental Congress vote. There was a big, celebration, 10-year celebration, that he was asked to speak, and he told them basically, I will speak if you hold the ceremonies on July 2nd. And they refused, and so Adams did not speak at the first big anniversary celebration of the Declaration of Independence. Apparently a stickler. But this was obviously important to him, so... check it out. Some of the things that Adams said. Now, one thing to include as well, looking at some of the coverage of this, Adams also kind of had a sense of humor about this. He was teased and even mocked in some ways, and he kind of joked about it himself. But he maintained up until the time of his death, which ironically was on July 4th, that July 2nd, 1776, was actually Independence Day here in the U.S. John Adams famously refusing to celebrate July 4th as the actual day because that was the actual public ceremony. But he said the Continental Congress voted to declare independence, making it official on July 2nd, 1776, and that's the holiday I'm celebrating it on. Or that's the date I'm celebrating it on. And again, went to his death, refusing to be a part of July 4th celebrations. Check it out. Link to this, and again, link to some of the photos from the Pennsylvania State exhibit on this particular stubborn moment in history from one of the founding fathers, John Adams, on our Facebook page. Thanks again to State Senator Todd Weiler for sharing that yesterday. As I said when we started, if I had ever learned that in grade school, I may have. I've forgotten that I knew it, and it was a fun bit of trivia that I ran across. So check it out. Links on our Facebook page, and we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
Hi, this This is Brooke Stevenson.
I'm David Castor with Adams Wealth Advisors. We're truly honored to be named Best of Northern Utah Gold winner for the best financial planner. This community means everything to us, and we're grateful for every customer who made this possible. Thank you for your trust.
Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com.
Logan, Ogden, stand by for details on how much it costs to borrow $1,000 from Dollar Loan Center. We offer signature loans up to $5,000 in minutes, and you don't need great credit or collateral. No checking account required, no application fees, and you only pay interest for the time you have the loan out. So if you need $1,000, it'll only cost you $7.56 per day. You can keep it out for a week, a month, a year. That's up to you. For new customers, the first week's interest is even on us. Give DLC a shot. You'll be glad you did. Stop by in Logan on US 89 by McDonald's or in Ogden on 12th at Lincoln. You can also get up to $5,000 in minutes at don'tbebroke.com and save the drive.
License by the Utah Department of Financial Institutions. Payment amounts based on biweekly pay frequency with annual percentage rate of 275%. For additional cost information, call 866-550-4352. Subject to approval, limitations may apply.
Hi, I'm Jessica, and I am a brain cancer survivor. When I was 11 years old, I spent a lot of time at my local children's hospital for brain surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. When I was in the hospital, I had no idea how much the medical bills were costing my family, and the insurance didn't cover all the equipment and treatments I needed. Thanks to donations to my hospital, I received amazing care and was able to kick cancer's butt. Today, I am 16 years old, and I am so excited about my future, where I can graduate from high school and become a professional speaker to share my story and give back to Children's Miracle Network hospitals. I believe if we donate to children's hospitals, we can change kids' health and change the future. You can help too. Give now at childrensmiraclenetworkhospitals.org and put your money where the miracles are. Thank you.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. How did our eyes get so red? And what the hell is on Joey's?
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Wrapping up with a bit of news from Logan City. Logan City Fire, to be specific, on Facebook. I missed this, but just about an hour ago, Logan City Fire Department announcing a crew of 3 Logan City firefighters headed out in a truck dubbed Brush 70 this morning to be a part of the Utah State Task Force for Wildland Fires. For those not familiar with that, this Utah State Task Force for Wildland Fires is. I'll post a link on our Facebook page because it's actually an interesting process that they have. It runs through the Utah Division of Fire, Forestry, and State Lands, Forestry, Fire, and State Lands. But it's the division's Wildland Fire Operations Center that kind of handles this, and they basically coordinate everything from hotshot work to initial attack, fuel analysis, engine crews, air crews, all of that. And so this task force is actually a part of an ever expanding, state-based aviation program. Something, years ago, Utah always had to call these in. We've got our own now. And so these task forces are deployed oftentimes as the very front lines on new fires. But if I had to guess, these 3 from Logan City Fire are probably headed south to the growing concern over the Babylon fire burning, kind of north and a little bit northwestward from the Four Corners area of southern Utah, threatening. It's burning towards some communities that are likely to be evacuated. So I'm guessing that's where they're headed. The Cottonwood fire in southern Utah is still burning, but that Babylon fire has now surpassed it as the largest fire in the United States. So just a reminder, of our own responsibility to not add work for these men and women fighting these fires. But again, an announcement from Logan Fire just about an hour ago on their Facebook page. 3 Logan City firefighters headed out this morning in Brush 70 to join this Utah State Task Force for Wildland Fires. I've shared the photo of the 3 and the truck, Brush 70, that will be headed, again, I assume, south to be a part of these multiple large firefighting efforts in southern Utah on our Facebook page. And that's our show for today. Appreciate everyone tuning in. I hope you'll be with us tomorrow. We'll make a second attempt to speak with Utah Fire Info folks about what they're seeing out there. That's tomorrow. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.